Guitar Hero is a rhythm game from Harmonix and Red Octane. Harmonix is the developer that did Frequency and Amplitude for the PlayStation 2, and some of the same graphical effects kind of show themselves here. The notes that you need to hit on the guitar kind of come at you as this like scrolling fretboard kind of comes, and it's up to you to take this guitar controller and hit one of these 5 buttons or 2 of these 5 buttons to make chords, to hold down the right buttons and then hit this little flipper here, and then of course there's a little whammy bar in there because you can always use some whammy bar, right? If you were to jump right into medium difficulty or expert, the game would basically just kick your ass immediately. It's really tough, especially when you start thinking about the 4th button and the 5th button. The pinky, not a real big gaming finger. So if you start it on easy, it just starts you with the first 3 buttons. Then on medium, it works in the 4th gradually, and then the same thing on hard for the 5th button. And then by the time you're playing on expert, you'll have worked your way through these songs and gotten used to all of the buttons. It's really smart the way the difficulty escalates, not only from difficulty setting to difficulty setting, but also just from song to song. The song list is comprised of a ton of different cover songs that kind of cover a lot of rock history. You've got some older stuff like David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, you've got Megadeth's Symphony of Destruction, but then also you got some newer stuff. There's some Franz Ferdinand in there, the Donnas, Sum 41. They really kind of went out of their way to focus on guitar songs that have really memorable riffs or just are really fun to play. And as a result, I think the song selection is definitely one of the game's strongest features. In addition to just playing through the career mode, you can also play with a second person. In that case, you get 2 guitars, and you can play with a controller, but you really don't want to. In multiplayer mode, you kind of just trade off. So one person will play a segment, and another person will play the next segment. And so it kind of goes back and forth. You can kind of see what's coming up, and also trade off on solos, which is really pretty cool. The game rewards you for basically playing every note. As you play more notes in a row, you'll build up like a combo multiplier that will get you more points. In addition to that, there's some notes that actually have little stars on them, and when you get those, you get star power. When you get your star power meter up to a certain point, you can activate star power by tilting the guitar up and kind of, it helps you make rock face. This point is cool. And once you activate star power, it doubles the multiplier, and also it kind of moves your rock meter back up really quickly. And the rock meter is basically the meter that keeps you alive. If it drains from you missing too many notes in a row, the song ends. So you want to keep that up as often as possible. I think my favorite parts about the game's presentation is in the final arena, there's a gigantic Viking that's just like there, and he's kind of moving a little bit. There's this gigantic Viking that's part of like the stage backdrop in this big rock arena. But every little area kind of has their own thing going on. You start out in a basement party scene, and you see a lot of people in the crowd there, but then you kind of work your way up through tours and get to these larger environments. It's really a great looking game. It's kind of a shame that you don't get to spend much time looking at that stuff while you're playing because you're too busy focusing on the notes to care. The game also has a really good sense of humor to it. Most of this comes through in the game's loading screens, which kind of give you really helpful tips about being in a band, like if anyone in the band insists on wearing a white belt, kick them out of the band, which totally true. That's exactly how you want to operate your band. Also, you don't want to give the drummer responsibility for the money. Don't give the drummer a microphone. A lot of drummer jokes in there. The game has a handful of different characters that you can go through. You've got some kind of, your standard kind of alternative rock goth chicks. You've got your Oasis-looking guy, and then there's my favorite, which he's just this denim jacket wearing, big, bulky, just bohunk Hesher, just like doing his thing, just headbanging, playing guitar. But then you can also unlock some characters like Death, because we all know the place that Death, the grim frickin' Reaper, has in rock. So they definitely get some of that kind of Dark Lord thing going too. To get the game and 1 guitar controller is going to run you $70, and then if you want a second guitar controller, it's going to be another $40. But that said, that's kind of par for the course when it comes to the genre. There's always going to be some crazy controller you're going to need to get, and these crazy controllers are well made and definitely are what make the game exciting. For that price, this game's definitely worth it. It's an amazing game. Even if you're not necessarily a big fan of the rhythm genre, it's easy enough to kind of get you going and get its hooks in you. So it's really addictive, really exciting, and I recommend it to anybody.